All right. Hi, guys. So I thought so that I could explain the two plans. I would just do this quick screencast since we may not be able to get together, but I would like us to get together for questions and that kind of stuff. So I don't know if we'll be able to work out the timing this afternoon for a call on Skype or maybe meet in a BBC room, but it's nice to be able to talk back and forth um, about the plans, I think. But we can, start off with Skype and try to find a mutual time that will work. And I know that Jenna is out, I believe, tomorrow and the next day. So if we can wrap it up today, that would be best. Okay, so two plans were presented this morning at leadership. We did have a subcommittee that came up with these plans. They are completely different from what has been presented in the past, but as I said, I thought most committees would stay. There was kind of a group of them that kept coming, and that seems to be the case in Plan A here. So I will just present both of these, and then we can talk and share opinions after that. Okay, so you can see that there's an article copied from um, the master agreement here, the contract, which basically talks about our day and mentions that flexible duty period. So the flexible duty period is also addressed here in the gray with the uh, um, idea behind this plan. So we would fulfill our 30-minute duty period, which is equal to 2.5 hours per week. We would continue to have a homeroom as in years past. But we would only spend two 30-minute periods per week fulfilling the homeroom obligations. Teachers will sign up for one committee performing the duties required for 90 minutes per week. All right, so I think I'm going to do these in two recordings, Plan A, and then I'm going to send you a Plan B recording. I want you to listen to both of them first. And I like what Deidre had suggested during the presentation to just jot down questions. And at the end of the Plan B presentation, I will let you know what questions I asked, and hopefully that will answer any that you have as well. Okay, so we'll just go through them first, and then we'll sort of go from there. Okay, so again, two 30-minute periods per week will be used for fulfilling homeroom obligations, and then teachers will sign up for one committee, which will basically be performing the other 90-minute per week amount of duty time. Okay, so leadership is listed here. Foreign language will have one added, and SPED will have one added. Then there's RTI, which was also SST, so RTI/SST. That will be that's the second committee listed there. And the RTI current committee has, or team has requested that we have a representative from each department or group. And I think I mentioned that in the chat last week. Onboarding, they've got 5 listed there. The subcommittees would be, some are new students, some are returning students. I don't know how that compares to the current numbers. I'm not really sure. Or maybe it's 5 slots because you could fill across this way. So anyway, I don't want to venture too far from this, but and then they for homeroom, this is further defined as a homeroom planning / grade level team leaders. So you can read kind of the little blurb that is about. You could pause the recording and read that. The Academic Support Committee, this is the new part, and I will read this part because this is brand new. Members of these committees will establish procedures, schedules, and norms as they provide support to students. Members will work together to provide resource and support rooms for students. Committee members will dedicate 90 minutes a week to this planning and working with students in BBC rooms. This plan taps into teachers' strengths and allows for students to get the support they need as demonstrated in the data collected in the office hours survey. So this is kind of what they came up with in terms of numbers of people. Maybe someone has maybe there's a social studies teacher who has a really, strong or passion for writing, and so they could use that strength in like the writing center and that kind of thing. There were a number of issues, like I said, brought up, which can be talked about in conversation later. So I know that your mind's probably racing right now, but try to stick with me for just a little bit more while I present the rest of this. All right, events, paid positions would be, and again, this talks about it, you have to meet what the contract says in terms of filing in Tier 1, Tier tier 2 or tier 3, and student involvement has to be included in the process. Refer to the master agreement for that. They're looking at a fall event and a spring event. This committee would determine what those events are and what the planning looks like, and probably some of the dates and that kind of stuff that would make the most sense. Okay, little change of plans because that went way faster. But you would pick one of these committees to serve on, and that would basically be your contractual agreement along with homeroom for that duty day, half an hour assigned piece. Okay, I'm going to share this Plan A, copy of Plan A and copy of Plan B with you also, so you'll be able to look at these and spend a little more time with them if you want to. All right, let me switch over to Plan B really quick. Plan B has a little bit different of a way to fulfill this contractual time. This is basically an either or plan. You'll put your name and you would sign up for one committee. Now in Plan A, let me be clear that you could, if you were really interested or passionate about more than one of those items, you could serve on both still. Plan B, they're saying, no, let's just do one. You sign up for one of these items below. And then I think on an individual basis, if you wanted to do more, you could potentially have that ability to do so. So in the gray again, here's the whole idea behind Plan B. It's an either or plan. You put your name on one thing below and you either serve on a committee, the duration of tenure, which is 2 years minimum, or you opt to continue with a homeroom. The homeroom students then, because some teachers would probably move to committees, the homeroom teacher, the individual homerooms would each go up. They do have an amount in here. The goal is to cap the homeroom student numbers at 30 to 32 per teacher. Part-time staff will be added to the homeroom team and their student numbers determined by their equal FTE. Teachers serving on a committee for their responsibility will document their meetings and keep running notes records. They will be using their 30-minute duty time per day towards working on bettering the school. And I think that's what the two columns here are, meetings, recording links, and then also a document for meeting notes. So much like we do for PLCs and stuff anyway, except for the recording part. We did not talk about any of that. That's just my speculation. Sorry. Get back to it. All right, so the first one you'll see is leadership combined now with RTI because you're giving up your homeroom duty. So this would be leadership and you would also serve as an RTI member as well. The next one there is onboarding, broken down into 3 subcommittees of new students, returning students, and late start or trickle student support. The third one there is homeroom planning or grade level team leads, so much like the other committee was, much like what they do now, divide up the year, and it would also possibly be providing support to how to, just make homerooms better. So that's why they're kind of their own committee, and I believe they still would have a homeroom also. And then events. Well, you know what? I'm not sure about that. I didn't ask that question. So again, stick to the script. So events, much like the other Plan A, fall event and spring event. And then you can see that is the work of 20 teachers. And I didn't go back and look at that closer to see what those numbers meant. But then the homeroom teachers, this would be homeroom of students equal to the teacher's FTE up to the average distribution cap, that 30 to 32 is what they were looking at. You remain with your same group of students, if at all possible. If you want to join a committee, you could do that pretty much at any time. And then the homeroom students would have a teacher that would rotate into your place, whoever's maybe leaving a committee at that time. The goal would be to stay with your specific grade as much as possible and at least have a 2-year rotation. So that's, I think, the gist of that. Okay. So that's the big difference is leadership combined with RTI. Plan A is homeroom plus committee. Plan B is homeroom or committee. And of course, there's a bunch of sort of nuances with that. Okay, so I jotted down some notes. They're over here. PLPs take longer than 1 hour per week was something that I thought of. When we were talking about Plan A, they said, okay, you only spend, you know, 2 30-minute periods per week fulfilling your homeroom obligations. So I asked about that, and the response for that was that 4 hours from the fall and 4 hours from the spring conferences, parent-teacher conferences, are to be completing those PLPs. So that's 8 hours outside of our normal contract day that we are granted to complete those PLPs. So that was the response that I got for that question. The other caution that the second question I guess I had was just a caution about the events, that if we are keeping all of those events and just lumping them together the same weekend, that's still a considerable amount of planning. So, you know, I don't know if that solved it. And then this should actually say SAT, excuse me, because I noticed that the SAT, the SAT team was gone, and they're also involved in coming up with truancy and attendance plans. And it sounds like that committee is just going to be done in a different way, mostly with office staff. Don't quote me on that, but apparently we're getting a presentation on that next Wednesday. And that Laura's comment about it was that our support wouldn't be anything necessarily above and beyond what we might already be doing in the classroom anyway. So we should really be viewing, you know, the truancy and attendance pieces that they need as things that we're doing to support our students in our classrooms anyway. I think I had a few other questions as we talked, but I don't really remember those exactly. But those were the things I took notes on and asked during the meeting. All right, so I did that super fast, but hopefully you got the gist of it. And of course, you can look at these plans and then share your thoughts. The plan from here is that on Friday, that's the absolute deadline, I need to collect your vote. I would like that in email form. So please email me your vote for either Plan A or Plan B by Friday. And I'd like to have it by mid-morning on Friday. So I would say by 11 a.m. on Friday, and I will send an email to this effect. Because then I have to gather all of our votes. So anytime between now and 11 a.m. on Friday, gather our votes, and then I send on one vote for the math team, whether it is Plan A or Plan B. So majority rules will send that on. Okay, I look forward to talking to you guys on Skype. And if it gets to be too long or too much, we can definitely try to come up with a collaborative time. Thanks, guys.